And now, WWAX Productions proudly presents The Spotlight with Justin Hollywood. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of The Spotlight. I'm your host, Justin Hollywood. I know we've been away for a while. I've been kind of busy with my schedule, but we're back. And today, we have another guest that has been on the show before, but we're here to talk about other matters. And today we have James Kitchens. James, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Justin. I'm glad to be here.
So, James, last time we were here, we discussed your career, but this time we're here to talk about Viral Pro Wrestling.
That's right.
So tell me, what exactly is Viral Pro Wrestling?
So, Viral Pro Wrestling is an independent wrestling organization. We're based currently out of Thompson, Georgia, where we plan to be for the near future. And basically, it's just a matter of bringing great talent together, pulling together great production, a great product, and thrilling our audience. So that's really what we aim to do in the future.
Excellent.
And I'm the general manager, so a lot of that falls under my jurisdiction as far as me making the decisions that will give us a good product and will excite our fans.
Oh, really? Tell me, how did you get that position?
Well, a guy by the name of Josh Hancock actually approached me and said that he was looking to start up a wrestling promotion. And I knew Josh a little bit, had seen him at some different shows and things like that. And he shared his vision about the product, and it really impressed me. And he asked me if I'd come on board and be the general manager. And it just all kind of went forward from there. And I'd say, it's been a lot of work. It was probably 4 or 5 months before the first show took place that we really were working on it day in and day out, just getting everything in line. And even up to the day of the show, things were still being prepared, and even the day of the show. So it was a lot of work getting to that first show, but, I'm very happy to be on board.
So August 13th was your first event?
That's correct.
And it was titled VPW Infection. Why the name Infection?
Well, Viral Pro Wrestling, it's got a double meaning there. So with Viral Pro Wrestling, a lot of times we talk about, things going viral on the internet. So that's sort of what we want it to be. Is we want to get our product out there and have people see, sort of the different take on independent wrestling that we have. And if you look at it, it's not too far off from the base of what independent wrestling is, which is just people coming out and enjoying wrestling and having a good time. Staying in tune with viral, we went with infection, and basically the meaning being that we were going to infect Thompson, Georgia with our product and what we are, and I think we succeeded.
Awesome. This event took place a few weeks ago, in which I was there observing, and overall, in my opinion, it was great. I'd say you drew about, 150 plus people?
Yeah, we had a great turnout. I think everybody was very pleased with the turnout. We sold out front row before the event, and that's always a good thing. And I think we had a great crowd reaction. So, when I look at a wrestling show, of course, the bottom line is, you want enough people there to come see your event so that you can, have the money to go forward and put on other events. But what I think is really important to me is, the people that did come, how was their experience? And I think that crowd was really hot from the beginning of the show all the way to the end. And people were raving about it on social media afterwards. So, I mean, it's always great to see that.
I mean, that's very impressive just for your first show.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that it went really, really well for a first show, and I had a lot of people come up and tell me that. A lot of the wrestlers said that too. I mean, that it was amazing for a first show. So we're really looking forward to doing it again.
Let's talk about some of the matches from the show. The first of which I'd like to discuss is James Drake versus Shane Hexon. What inspired you to book that match?
All right, so this is actually an interesting one because we actually did a video announcement of this week of the show. This is something I think a lot of people wanted to see. As far as I know, they had never faced each other before. But that match, I mean, you really took James Drake, who has made a name for himself all over the Carolinas, and I mean Georgia too, as being a tough, hard-hitting competitor who can do things in the ring that you really wouldn't expect out of a man of his size. And then on the other hand, you have Shane Hexon, who, is basically indestructible. He's known for his hard-hitting style. He's known for the hardcore matches. He's known for the, taking things to the extreme and going to any length to get the victory. So I thought the two of them going head-to-head was going to be a real treat for the VPW fans, and they reacted in kind. I mean, they're very hot for that match.
In my opinion, they absolutely tore the house down. Drake and Hex was one, if not the best match of the show.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that. I think that they went out there and just had a hard-hitting, just a match where they just decimated each other. I mean, it was just, it was a crazy match. There were times that I was worried that it might get out of control, but I mean, I didn't expect anything less going in. And, thankfully we have a great security team that was there on hand if, it would have spilled out into the rest of the gym. But luckily, they put on a great match. And Shane Hexon got the victory, which later on in the night, we saw James Drake come back out and eliminate him from the Rumble, and even disrespect his, his military record to an extent. So I think that we haven't seen the last of these two.
Another match I absolutely enjoyed was Rob Killjoy versus Tracer X. What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of people called that match of the night. The things that they did in that ring were amazing. I mean, if you just look at the pure athleticism that they displayed, I mean, and really they put on a beautiful match. They told a great story out there. So, I mean, looking at that match, I've watched it again several times since the show, and I mean, the crowd was, they were very hot for that match the whole night. They were really enjoying it, and I think a lot of people, if you look at social media after the fact, they were really raving about that match in particular as well.
Agreed. I thought that match was phenomenal. You took two of the best competitors in the Southeast, both very passionate and charismatic, and they created absolute magic. Besides Hex and Drake, I think that may top it off as match of the night.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, they just had a spectacular match, and I would love to see them go at it again. I mean, those two guys have, been in matches against each other all over the Southeast. So, I mean, they know each other really well. Tracer can counter Rob Killjoy. Rob Killjoy can counter Tracer. So, they both know each other's styles very well. And, Rob Killjoy got the win, but I'm sure that Tracer's going to be seeking his revenge, if not at Viral Pro Wrestling, then somewhere else on the road.
Even though the show is outstanding, there were also some crucial points as well. The first I'd like to talk about is the Hometown Misfits versus Smooth Excellence. This was the opening contest. The match was going well. The crowd was into it, including myself. Next thing you know, the ref's stopping the match and there's blood everywhere.
Yeah, that was scary. Richie of Smooth Excellence was injured. It was kind of a freak, one in a million type accident. Basically, Oz Knight hit him with a cannonball, which is a move where your opponent would be in the corner, and basically he came in and threw all his body weight on him. But when that happened, the back of his head basically scraped a piece that was on the turnbuckle that should have been turned in, and it gushed him right open. And I was out in the ring for my segment immediately after that, and I mean there was a lot of blood, so that was very scary. But we got him checked out. We had some trained EMTs in the back that could check him out, and they did so. And as far as I know, he didn't require stitches or anything like that, and the cut sealed up. But it was a very scary moment. We're glad he's all right.
Wow. I can't imagine what he was feeling after that, but you have to give him props for finishing the match.
Yeah, absolutely. I watched that footage back, and I think if you look at it, you can tell that he really was trying to, he knew that he was hurt, but he was trying to continue the match. And I think the referee at that time, I mean, that official made a great call with, realizing that, hey, this match doesn't need to continue. This guy is, he's TKO'd basically, and we need to get him out of here.
The last match I'd like to discuss is the VPW Rumble, which served as the main event. But before we go into details, whose idea was it to come up with that?
Well, to be honest, the original idea for the VPW Rumble, when Josh Hancock brought me on board, he already sort of had that in mind. And, I thought, hey, let's wait and announce it at the show. So, I'll come out and announce it. We'll put the winners of all the matches throughout the night in there, and we'll give them a chance to compete to be the first champion. And it's not often that you see a battle royal done that way on the independent scene, especially with the last two men. We went down to a singles match, pinfall submission, and I mean I think it was a great match. Usually a battle royal, especially being a main event, isn't going to draw that much attention from your crowd as far as their reaction. But I mean, every single time somebody was coming out, the crowd was counting that down. The VPW fan base, you could hear 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. They were excited to see who was going to come out each and every time. I'm not exactly excited about the results. I think everybody saw what happened there. I mean, it came down to 6 and the Fireman, and then we had Mikey Galino coming in at the last moment. Fireman's got the match won. Mikey Galino came in, put Six's foot on the rope. The official didn't see it. Nothing against the official. He absolutely made the right call based on what he saw. And you can look at the footage, and you can see that from the angle he was at, he couldn't see Mikey Galino, but the crowd saw it. I saw it. So nothing against the official. He made the right call, but I mean, in all fairness, 6 was out for the count. The referee counted 3, and if it weren't for Mikey Galino, his foot wouldn't have been on that rope.
I noticed that Fireman was kind of ticked off after the results of that match. What's going to happen next? Are you going to ensure that justice is acquired and that Fireman will get another shot at the championship?
Absolutely. I told Fireman right after that match, I mean, he was pretty heated, as anybody could understand. I mean, it's his hometown. He had an opportunity to make history, become the first ever VPW champion. And, I mean, he was cheated out of it. I was upset. The fans were upset, and I don't think anybody was more upset than the Fireman. Given that, I mean, he's absolutely going to get a rematch at our next event. So, I've been in talks with Mikey Galino. I've told him that his client, better be there and better be ready to defend that title. So, I think that Fireman deserves a shot. The fans that were there at Infection on the 13th absolutely believe he deserves another shot. So, I think Six is going to be in trouble when he's got to face a Fireman one-on-one.
I'd like to go back to the Rumble. We saw many competitors qualify from earlier matches, but we also caught a few surprise entrants, and the most notable one was the Common Man. I don't think anyone saw that coming.
No, absolutely not. He hasn't been in the ring in probably 6 or 7 years, from what I understand. So, I actually, back in maybe the 2006, 2007 time frame, had some matches against the Fireman. Against Common Man myself. I think he's a good competitor. I think he's surprised a lot of people with how he came out and how he moved in that ring. And he was a force to be reckoned with. He was there. He was the last entrant, but he lasted a very long time in that Rumble. And there were times when I thought he might go to the final two.
Another surprise entrant we saw was Jeremy Cruz, who returned to a huge pop from the crowd.
Yep, absolutely. So Jeremy Cruz hasn't been really seen a whole lot in the CSRA in the past, I'd say, couple of years or so. And so, it was great to see him back in action. I think he looked great out there. He came out, went out there in the ring, and as soon as he hit the ring, he went straight for the biggest guy. And, he was trying to get people eliminated, trying to throw people over the top rope. He was, a serious competitor for the VPW Championship. So I think we'll see some good things out of him going forward.
Tell me, do you plan to continue using these guys, or was it just like a one-time, hey, look who's back kind of appearance?
Well, this is independent wrestling. So, it's no secret that we've got a certain number of matches that we can fill. And so there's only a certain number of guys that can fill those matches. So when we talk about who's going to be on future events, the VPW fans are the ones that decide that. So if we send somebody out and they get a huge reaction, we're taking note of that. We're listening. When we see somebody raving about, a wrestler on social media, that's something that we pay attention to. So, the future is really, I'll say the doors are open wide for all these guys. So it's really a matter of earning your spot on the card and showing up to compete. So, I think that Jeremy Cruz did that. I think Common Man did that. I think everybody else in the Rumble did that too. I really didn't see a single competitor in there that wasn't, that they came out and you were like, oh, this guy's not even trying. So I think that, I think we had a great showing from everybody in the Rumble.
Well, Caleb, or James rather.
Either is fine.
We're reaching the end of the podcast here, but I noticed you mentioned your next event, and I'm pretty sure we all want to know, when will Viral Pro Wrestling return?
Absolutely. So it's going to be October 29th. So this is going to be like a Halloween-themed event. So we're going to have some more details going forward, but it's going to be October 29th. We're going to be at the same Sweetwater gym. And I can tell you right now that we're going to see the VPW Championship defended. And we're going to see some other great matches too. We've got a ton of surprises coming up. So I know that the Fireman has said that he's got some different things that he wants to say in regards to that event. So I would keep up with his page as well. And we'll go from there. So more details will be coming out, but it's going to be an amazing show. It's going to be Fall Brawl 6, and we're hoping to just put on a great show and have a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, I'm most definitely looking forward to that, and I guarantee you I will be back on the 29th for VPW.
All right, I'll see you then. Thanks for having me on the show.
It's great having you here, James. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes this episode of The Spotlight. I'm your host, Justin Hollywood, and I will see you for another episode when we return. Thank you.
This has been a WWAX production.